Good morning. I'm with Jay, and we're on our way. Yeah, that's you. We're about to head over to the Pace University Trans Health Conference. It is my first Trans Health Conference, and I'm really excited, although today has not been without bumps. We spent 20 minutes looking for our keys. My bag just broke. I don't know. It's not really good juju. What do you think, Jay? Yeah. We'll check in with you in a bit. Hopefully this day will get better. Honestly, I just realized that my day is not as bad as whoever's that day is.
That's it.
And therefore, I feel better. We'll check in with you. Jay found the sign this way.
I saw the sign.
Yeah, we saw the sign. Alright, let's go. We're going to Pace. I've never actually been here.
I've been here once.
It's a pretty big campus, I would say, for like the city, because you don't really assume, you know, big campuses. I'm excited. What are you looking forward to most about the conference today?
I don't even know what's happening during the conference, but like everything. Just meeting people.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet people.
I think that's where we go.
I mean, it's a health conference. I feel like since I'm at the beginning of my physical transition, I'm definitely interested in talking to a lot of different providers and like learning more about different
It's fun to learn.
options and masculinization surgery. And
I'm so excited. I'm
surgery.
spilling coffee on myself.
Oh, so you almost could have gotten away with that because I actually wasn't filming you at that very second. But now you told the camera, and now I feel obligated to put it in the video.
It's probably all over my beard.
There's a sign, and it's here. We're going to registration. We are so on top of things. So I'm meeting a bunch of my friends. I wonder where they are. I feel like there's a lot of professionals here. We're going in. Shake it off your phone. Here's the schedule of the day.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Jay, are you excited?
I'm excited.
See, look, we have matching pronoun stickers. This is what trans looks like. The ceiling is seriously so cool. What's up, YouTube? I am checking in. Sorry if it's a little loud. It's been a wildly crazy day. I bumped into an old professor. I've bumped into some friends. I'm suddenly going to be a panelist for the Making It Work Strong Relationships Between Transgender Clients and Their Health Providers panel. I'm going to have that filmed, so we'll get some footage in there. It's been an eye-opening day, mostly geared towards medical providers and professionals, but that really gives me a big outlet to get heard by some of the most important professionals who are trying to provide for trans individuals, and that is a big deal. I am not a healthcare professional. I'm Jamie Wahlberg, he, him pronouns, and I'm about to start a youth counselor position at an LGBTQ organization that deals with homeless youth.
Tell us about a positive experience that you've had with a healthcare provider.
I've been transitioning for a little over a year, and I have sort of already barriers off the bat because I have a chronic illness, so I'm used to being in and out of, you know, medical offices all the time. And so for me, I kind of come with this, you know, overwhelming confusion when people hear that I'm a trans man and that I also have a chronic illness that they've never heard of. They tend to freak out, and so I appreciate every single medical provider that I've been in touch with that has been kind to me and listened to me. In particular, most recently, I had a wonderful experience at NYU Langone with Dr. Alexis Hazen and her team there with Whitney Saya. I had top surgery, and they really just blew my mind with the patient care. They just were respectful with my pronouns. They understood my level of urgency. They listened to exactly, you know, what I needed in terms of my dysphoria, in terms of insurance, which I'm sure I'll talk about later. they've gone up to bat for me, and it doesn't matter whether you're a provider that's meeting with a patient for 5 minutes or with you're meeting with a patient ongoing for months and for years. Every second counts, and when you have somebody who's transgender coming in your office who feels unsettled and unsafe all the time, you want them to come in your office and feel safe, and that's how you're going to keep on holding on to these patients, is because you're going to become a safe space for them, and that's invaluable.
Think about an experience that maybe didn't go so well, and how you dealt with it.
Really, really bad providers, and you know what I do? I leave, and I don't go back. I will say that sometimes you get a little stuck. I'm definitely privileged in the fact that I can go and try and find another provider that will properly take care of me and respect me as a trans man, but it's not always the case. Right now, I'm actually dealing with a massive explosion that unfortunately makes the excellent providers that I just told you about look really bad, and it has nothing to do with them. And that has to do with Medicare, Social Security, disability, and Aetna insurance. And more or less what's happened is that Aetna had, everything cleared and ready to go for my top surgery, and just before my surgery, I get contacted from Social Security. I get a letter, oh, by the way, we've put you on Medicare because after 2 years of being on disability, this is something we do. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm about to have surgery and I just had everything cleared. Do I need to start all over again? Why do I need, these services when I already have a provider that's working for me? And I pretty much got complete contradictory information from all 4 locations, unfortunately, including the doctor's office, but again, not really their fault, especially billing. You can't expect them to understand certain things about between Medicare and Aetna. So now there's this whole battle, and suddenly I'm looking at an over $30,000 bill for something that was supposed to be covered that I've already now had. And it's a disaster, and it looks bad upon the provider because they're going up to bat and they can't solve this problem that's happening behind them, and they want so badly to help me, but they can't help me. And so I think it's important to realize that when you have a patient that's coming into your office, especially doing these procedures that are really expensive, you have to consider all the different facets of care, and the fact that things come up last minute, and that giving proper information the first time is the only acceptable information, because I was given misinformation for something that I didn't understand and had not had experience with, and therefore I made bad decisions for myself that I would not have made, and now I'm stuck in this situation. So for me, certain things, I get misgendered a lot at offices, and I walk out the door. I'm gone. They'll never hear from me again. I can find somebody else who's going to treat me better. But sometimes you're stuck. So again, coming back to that safe zone, just make sure that you're a patient advocate.
What advice would you give to healthcare providers who care for trans people?
I have lots more to say. Number one, don't look at me like I'm a bankroll. I'm a human being. I understand that the medical profession, it's a money profession. You need to make a living. Machines are expensive. I get it. I hear you. I understand all these things. I have to make a living too. But I also want to stay alive and be alive, and I can't feel alive and like I'm safe if I'm treated like a dollar bill sign. I will just walk out the door. That's not what I'm there for. When you go, under an oath or whatever to be a health care provider, I want you to remember care. And that should be your focus going in. It's okay if in the back of your mind you're saying, wow, Jamie's coming to my office all the time, Brent, I'm going on vacation. That's cool, you can think that. But when you're talking to me and you're treating me, I want your number one thing in your mind to be care. How can I care for Jamie best? How can I care for any patient who comes in my door who's transgender best? Along with that comes don't assume. Don't assume anything. Don't assume anybody's gender. Don't assume who their partner is, whether they have a partner, what they like and what they don't like, what medications have they been on, how, what they're at risk for. Any of these things, you're making an ass out of you and me. You need to just ask questions in a kind and appropriate way. And, as Tristan said, be open-minded and educate yourself, because it's not the patient's responsibility to educate you every step of the way. We already have to educate the rest of society, our families and our friends. It's exhausting. I'm already exhausted when I walk in your door. You're supposed to put me back together. Mount Sinai specifically, having to do with my gender even after saying things. So unfortunately, and I don't mean to offend anybody in this room, it really doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, and I actually find a lot of problems with this with people who have been in the business much longer, because they didn't have that training because it was out of sight, out of mind, and now it's becoming important. If you want, if you want trans individuals to come in and educate and train to create a training program, that's wonderful. That's amazing. And personally, sign me up. I'll be at your front door tomorrow at 9 a.m. But if you're going to expect every single patient to come in and educate you on transgender people and the health needs of all trans people in general, that's unacceptable to me. You're welcome, as Tristan said, to ask me personally about me and my experience, because not one trans person is the same as the next person, the same way any other individual doesn't have the exact same experience as somebody else. And you're welcome to ask me a zillion questions about me. I happen to be a very open book compared to a lot of people who may not be, and may not feel comfortable with your questions and sharing. So yeah, you have to be educated when you walk in the door, and no, it shouldn't be something that you have to go and hunt around for an expert. It's 2016. We exist. We're everywhere. We're gonna walk in your door someday, and we shouldn't have to go and sit and wait around for one of you to just approach us or get the training you need. The training needs to happen from the get-go, and if you don't have it now, you need to get it now. You need to find a way to get it now, because it's way easier. I can guarantee it is way, I'm confident in this, it is way easier for you to find a means to get the training to your professionals and your staff than it is for us to get the respect we deserve, to get the financial backing, to get the care that we deserve.
Word.
It should be automatic. Yeah, it's absolutely a two-way street. I know that, I can come down hard because I spend way too much time in medical offices between my transition and my chronic illness. But what I can say is, yeah, we definitely have a piece as trans patients. Number one is patience. We need to have a little bit of patience and understand that although trans people have always existed, that unfortunately mainstream it hasn't. And so we're waiting for a little bit of catch-up here. We need to educate ourselves. The first thing I do, you should know this if I ever walk in your office, I research everything myself. I will know everything about you and your practice and everything that I need to know about what I'm going into your practice for before I get there, and I'm going to test you on everything. Believe me, when I ask you a question, I already know the answer. I want to know that you know the answer that I know, so that we're aligned and on the same page, and that creates an immediate trust bond for me. I did that for my top surgery, and that's how I knew immediately that I could trust my surgeon. And then I met with my surgeon and their team, I think 8 times beforehand. So what I can also say is consistency. If you want to create a good relationship with your provider, you need to see them on a regular basis. You need to try and be as open with them and honest with them as possible, so that way everybody's on the same page, your needs are out on the table, and you can then know whether they can provide those needs for you. And if not, that you can find a place that's a better match for you. You need to be your number one, your self-advocate. And that's something that I had to learn, unfortunately, the hard way, and I think many do. Hours, honestly, talking about things that haven't been covered because it's impossible to cover in just a panel, just the way it's impossible to cover in 20 minutes. What I can say is, well, one of the things I really want to say is anybody in this room who's a nurse practitioner, I want you to know how important you are, how much you have the possibility to make or break a doctor's office or a hospital. I have chosen at times to not see doctors and to only see nurse practitioners. And I want you to know how important you are and that you are incredibly valuable to the trans community, because what I love about you, other than the fact that you have sort of this different mindset, is you have unbelievable patient care. I have had nurse practitioners and nurses in general go out of their way for me in ways that shock me in the best of ways. I have stayed with bad doctors because they had great nurse practitioners. So I want you to take that home with you. And I want you to know that if you're a good provider, no matter what type of provider you are, people, if they have the means, will travel to go and spend time with you to get your expertise. Because when you transition as a trans person, you're choosing life over death. You're choosing to save your life. And when I go into your office, whether it's for my chronic illness, whether it's for my transition, I'm seeing you because I need you to help save my life. I need you. And I've traveled hours at times to go and see fantastic doctors who I know want to try and help save my life. So just know that you have massive impact, and that, you know, yes, you're spending all this time and all this energy going through school for a reason, and we're not just spending 20 minutes of our time with you, we're spending however much time it takes for us to deal with insurance, to get there via transportation, to deal with the medications and wait online at pharmacies and argue with our family members over our care and figure out places to recover from surgeries. We're doing all of these things to have access to you to save our lives. So just take that home.